Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:07. It's O'Connor and Company, and we're all fired up for our fourth hour here. If you missed the first three, well, that's on you. But you can redeem yourself. You can just subscribe to the podcast and download those episodes so you don't miss a thing. By the way, while you're in the mood for subscribing to podcasts, how about the Mom Wars from our own Bethany Mandel?
Bethany. We haven't published one in like 6 weeks because I've been away, but I promise it's forthcoming. Subscribe and you'll get it first.
The Mom Wars are back, baby. Absolutely, just when we need them. Coming up in 30 minutes, Governor Scott Walker, Young America's Foundation, reflecting on the passing of Michael Reagan. And our thoughts and prayers with Julie Gunlock, who's really feeling under the weather, having a tough time of it. So feel better, Julie. Otherwise, I don't know where we'd be without her.
Stuck with me. God knows you don't
I
want
was
that.
going to say that, but yeah. Mark Kelley, as you know, is now facing some disciplinary action from the Pentagon. He's not just a U.S. Senator. He's not just a former astronaut, but he is a retired captain in the United States Navy in good standing. That means in exchange for his full pension and all the benefits that go along with that, there is a certain code of conduct that he has to adhere to. And everyone's looking at that ad that he put out with 5 other Democrats, basically citing the Uniform Code of Military Justice, but obviously suggesting to the members of the military that they might want to question the orders they're being given because they could very well be illegal orders. Add to that these remarks that he gave on the floor of the Senate, October of 25, just a couple of months ago.
If you're the guy that is pulling the trigger in a combat operation, you typically expect that the people above you have done all the due diligence necessary to make sure that you are not going to be in some kind of legal jeopardy. And I really worry about that today. There might be some young Navy lieutenant out there, or Marine Corps captain, or Air Force, for all I know, MQ-9 operator, that might someday find out that they have done something that is not consistent with the law and are now in legal jeopardy.
Wow. Jim Hanson is the president of Security Studies Group, and he served in the United States Army and the Special Forces. Jim, as you know, I'm not personally a veteran. I didn't serve. But just from my ears, hearing that sure sounds like he's planting the seed in every single one of those junior officers' rank that he just mentioned, that they should go about their day constantly questioning the orders they're given, even in a combat situation. Seems to me that would undermine the chain of command and how the military is supposed to function. But you're the expert. You tell me.
I don't think anyone needs to be an expert, as you said, Larry. That was self-evidently an attempt to undermine the authority of the commander-in-chief and the Secretary of War. And here's something that I've seen everybody miss who is attempting to say, well, this is just free speech. He can say what he wants. No, as you mentioned, he's still bound by the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and he doesn't have the right to say things that are going to cause problems among the troops we need to actually follow the orders they're given. So he did this on purpose, and now he's going to pay a price for that. And I think that's exactly what's necessary.
I'm in, strangely, I don't understand why, but I'm in a lot of Facebook groups of people in armed. I mean, I know why. It's because I'm always looking for stories to write about. And it seems like there's a lot of anger actually about this, at people asking, is my retirement in danger? Could I, if Mark Kelley can have his retirement pay cut, what about me? What would you respond to folks, who were more rank and file if they have those concerns? Are they justified?
No, don't say things that are a blatantly naked attempt to cause trouble for the people who are running our country and taking care of our national security. What he did was basically the same as the mafia enforcer who walks in a shop and says, gee, nice little place you got here. Be a shame if anything happened to it. Mm-hmm. He said, nice set of orders you've got there. Be a shame if they were illegal. The exact words don't matter. It was the intent and the message that he was sending, which, as Larry pointed out at the start, everybody knew. He knew. They knew what they were doing. They thought they could play, oh, we're cute barracks lawyers. We're not going to say the words that you should not obey the orders because, we hate Trump and Hexeth. No, they attempted to plant that seed of doubt, and that violates at least 3 parts of the code of military justice, and it's going to cost him a rank, and it's going to put the people who think maybe I'm a retired officer and I can say anything I want should reconsider the fact that is not the deal you made with the United States military and this country. You agreed not to undermine authority.
By the way, for people who are saying this is so unprecedented and they should never do this, ask Congressman Ronnie Jackson, who was a retired admiral when he decided to run for Congress. He was a critic of the Biden administration, and during the Biden administration, lo and behold, they decided to investigate him, and they decided to knock him down a rank. The exact same thing that's going on to Mark Kelley. Now, it was for other reasons, but Jim Hanson, if you can sort of parse out for the difference between speaking your mind and criticizing a political figure, even the president of the United States. Obviously, if you're retired military, you can do that. You do that. You criticize the president, no matter who the president is. I've heard you criticize both Trump and Biden. You can criticize, but there's a difference here. What is that extra step he took that goes beyond just criticizing the president and his policies?
If Mark Kelley wants to say the Congress should potentially take action because the president's sending National Guard units into cities that are not under an active insurrection is potentially a violation, and we should hold hearings, he has every right to do that. If he wants to say blowing up drug boats is not something the United States of America should be doing, I believe it could be a violation of the Constitution and any other thing. He's got every right to say that. But if he starts doing what he did, which is saying, guys, and he's talking directly to the troops.
Yeah, see, that's the difference.
What if you're doing something illegal?
Yeah.
That's wrong.
He's sending this was not criticism of the president. This was a message delivered specifically to people in uniform, active duty, saying if you follow an order and it's planting the seed that their orders are illegal, you will face criminal justice and an investigation when there's a new president. That goes well beyond criticizing the president, Bethany, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, I think so. But I've been surprised observing these groups of folks in the Reagan file, how left-leaning a lot of them are and how hostile they are to President Trump. That was not something I expected when I first started covering sort of military stuff.
People always think that the military is or used to think the military was a monolithic, conservative, group of knuckle-dragging farm boys, who go out and kill our enemies. It's always had an element of people who are there for college money or other things and who are patriots. I'm not saying they're not patriots. They don't love America, but they have a totally different worldview, and that's acceptable. That's the way it should be. America is a diverse country with different political thoughts. But when you take those and undermine either the authority of the commander-in-chief, the goals, the strategic interests of the United States, as a serving or retired military officer or enlisted person, you have violated the oath you took. And it's not that complicated. Unless you think you're just being slick, which they did, they took a risk, and now Mark Kelley is going to be the poster boy for I used to be a captain, now I'm a commander, and maybe I shouldn't run my mouth when my political, ideology gets out in front of the oath I took to the Constitution.
When there's a new president, new commander-in-chief who might be a Democrat, are you, Jim Hanson, or even more importantly, Kurt Schlichter, in some way in danger of retaliation?
They could try it. The thing is, you still got to get it past an administrative board. There's going to be several officers who are going to look at this recommendation, investigate it, and make a call. I have no doubt what that call is going to be at this point. But I would, sure, there's a potential for abuse of power anytime. And that's something we're fighting back against with the deep state in many places. Right. But I think in this case, it's so cut and dry what they were trying to do that it's insulting to everybody to pretend that you can say these things and, I'm just making a PSA, smoking's bad for you. Wear your seatbelt. Don't obey Pete Exit. Shut up, man.
Mark Kelley's defense here is either he knew exactly what he was doing or he's a moron. You take your pick. Jim Hanson, thanks for joining. This idea, come on. Crazy right-wing Attila the Hun-like, frothing at the mouth, knuckle-dragging farm boys. Jim Hanson, let me just say, was never a farm boy.
I come from farm stock. My grandfather was a John Deere dealer and owned farms in Nebraska.
All right. Well, then maybe it does ring true. Jim, thank you. And you might want to polish up your knuckles there. They're getting a little chafed.
Thanks for having me.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Bethany Mandel of the Mom Wars podcast is with us all morning. And Bethany, earlier we spoke about the fake candle vigil using fake candles. The Democrats, I think our friend David Marcus, columnist at Fox News, said that January 6th is White Kwanzaa.
I can't believe you said that on air.
Absolutely. It's White Boomer Kwanzaa, as all the Democrats there on Capitol Hill saying God Bless America as a candlelight vigil to the light of battery-powered little flickering fake candles for January 6th. But I got to tell you, that was not the cringiest, most embarrassing tribute to January 6th yesterday. Would you like to hear what the most embarrassing, cringiest tribute to January 6th was?
I cannot wait with every fiber of my being. It's like how a 6-year-old feels the night before Christmas. That's how I feel
listen
right now.
to this. On the 5th anniversary of January 6th, one George Conway decided to use the occasion to launch his congressional campaign in New York City. Listen.
When we see it, we're going to walk down to the Capitol. Hear it. We will give them pardons. Read it and feel it. We find it hard to believe, but it's real. It's happening on the streets of New York City every day. And just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. It has to stop. We must make it stop.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to step on his very dramatic moment. George Conway, the ex-husband of Kelley Ann Conway, who used to fashion himself a Republican, but now is a bulwark-style never-Trumper. He is running for Congress in the 12th District of New York, and God bless him. Part of me wants him to win just for the show.
Every part of me wants him to win. But maybe, I might be dreaming here, we could have a conversation about how he was an emotionally abusive monster to his wife and a horrible father. And so if him coming into public life in this manner enables that conversation, I'm here for it. 100% I'm here for it, because he is the toxic masculinity that we've been promised exists among all men.
He is, honestly, by any objective measure, an awful human being and a terrible husband and father. He let his marriage and his family disintegrate because of his just blind hatred for Donald Trump. And let's not forget, when his wife, Kelley Ann, helped engineer the incredible victory of Donald Trump in the presidency, at the beginning, George Conway wanted to be a part of that administration. It was only when he was rejected for a job that he suddenly became a never-Trump vigilante.
Yeah, it was always about his narcissism, always. Yeah. And his entire public persona is based in his narcissism, and this is just a continuation of it. I mean, he'd be taking Jerry Nadler's seat, so he actually has like a pretty decent shot. And
well, maybe. I mean, there's like 30 people running for this, including the JFK's grandson.
Oh, that's true.
He's got some name ID too.
That's true.
New York is weird, but it's one of those things though, because there's so many candidates, you could win this with like 15% of the vote.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, that's I think that it's all very interesting, and I mean, they're all winners. Cameron Kasky, Jack Schloessenberg,
Yeah, that's the Kennedy kid.
That's the Kennedy. I would enjoy all of them, and I would love them to bring their narcissistic torpedo to Congress and, implode the Democratic Party's chances of doing anything meaningful for the next 2 years. So I support everyone. I have it's like Iran and Iraq. I'm just sitting back and enjoying the ride.
Or Notre Dame versus USC. But wait, is there any way that George Santos could move to Manhattan and get the Republican nomination?
Oh, that would
just
be
to
so
make
fun.
this much more interesting?
I'm just going to be honest with you, Larry. I love George Santos so much. And I just want what's best for him.
He does have a joie de vivre,
He really does. And that's what I love about him. I, too, have that joie de vivre. It's why I enjoy the candlelight vigils so much. And I don't know. I don't think that we deserve George Santos in Congress anymore. I think that he's on to bigger and better things. I hope he has a show. I can't wait to see New York 12 unfold.
George Conway is running for Congress, and it's going to be fascinating to watch. Keep it here. The primary is coming up in New York in a couple of months, and it's going to be a hot one. Right now, it's 8:23. Yesterday, Ronald Reagan's son, Michael Reagan, passed away. Coming up, we're going to reflect on him with the Governor Scott Walker, the president of Young America's Foundation. Keep it here. It's O'Connor and Company.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company. WMAL.
It's 8:37 here on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for waking up with us and joining our conversation. When I say our, I mean mine and Bethany Mandel, who's in for an ailing Julie Gunlock. Get better soon, Julie. Hello, Bethany. Good morning.
Good morning. Thrilled to be here.
Well, and you'll be even more thrilled to know that one of the nicest men in town, and that's not a good reputation to have sometimes these days. You're supposed to be, a tough SOB when you're in politics, but Governor Scott Walker truly is one of the nicest and best kind of guys you want to have on your side. He's the president of Young America's Foundation, by the way, and he joins us now. Governor Walker, Happy New Year. Great to talk with you, sir.
Oh, Happy New Year. It's great to be with you as always.
Although sad circumstances here, as yesterday saw the passing of Michael Reagan, the son of Ronald Reagan, and, of course, you, Governor Walker, and the team at Young America's Foundation. You're sort of keeping the flame alive there for the Reagan family. Of course, you are responsible for the Reagan Ranch out in Santa Barbara County, California, and also the Reagan Childhood Home. So you worked with Michael Reagan quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, not only because of the ranch, although Mike always used to say he felt like his dad could walk right out. Everything is exactly the way they left it, and always found some great comfort in being close to his father by being up at the ranch. But as you know, it was being with the students. He was almost every high school conference we had, and of late, the last couple of years, he frequently brought Ashley, his daughter, who was born when Ronald Reagan was president, who's amazingly now in her 40s, has a family of her own, and is a principal out in L.A. at a Catholic school out there. But Michael he didn't just tell stories about his father. He certainly did that, and they were wonderful and engaging. But he was more than that. It was really more about the values that he and his father fought for. And I think, ironically, out of the 4 children that Ronald Reagan had, 2 with Jane Wyman and 2 with Nancy Reagan, Michael was the adopted one, and he was the one most like his father. He spoke out on the radio for decades. He spoke out on the stump. We saw him even just recently talking to high school students, sharing those values, talking about being a happy warrior. It just shows that those values are thicker than blood. They really were ingrained in him all throughout his life.
Yeah, it's funny when I saw that you were going to be on the show, I thought, oh, yeah, if I need to get my kids going to those middle school programs and those high school programs, what did that sort of access look like from a kid perspective? Have you spoken to some of the students, both middle school, high school, college students, about their interactions with him? Have you been hearing sort of their remembrances of him from those conferences?
Oh, absolutely. And even not only from them directly, but a good example is a woman named Ann Napite. She's on a Reagan Ranch Board of Governors, comes from Quincy, Illinois. Can't be more heart of America, America's heartland, kind of a place to grow up, not too far south from where I grew up as a kid. We shared the news yesterday when the family asked us to put out the statement, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sad." She says, "But one of the amazing things was her granddaughter was at the high school program back in 2021, and she said when she came back, she said my favorite speaker was Ronald Reagan's son, Michael Reagan. He was so engaging, so exciting, so inspiring." And so I passed it on to Ashley, who of course is Michael's daughter, and said, on a day otherwise filled with gloom, I hope this put the smile on your face. This was something that came directly from her granddaughter, who was the high school program, and to share that experience. But again, not just about nostalgia. It wasn't just telling cute vignettes about what it was like driving around the ranch with the president, with his father, all those sorts of things he talked about. But he talked about the issues of the day. He tied the connection between what his father did, how he lived, and how Michael himself lived to the important things that students should be knowing.
Yeah, the timeless values that transcend generations, which is what President Reagan talked about so often. And yes, ironically, it was his adopted son that really carried that torch better than any of his children. Governor Walker, while I've got you, you were the governor of Wisconsin. You neighbored Minnesota through various different governorships. I'd love for you to reflect on what we're seeing here with the downfall of Tim Walz and the revelations of the level of fraud in these state-run but federally funded government programs here. This has got to be a wake-up call for governors all around the country, in red states as well.
Oh, absolutely. Two things. One, I want to come right back to the fraud. But one thing, Larry, I think you really appreciate, because you've been involved for years with our National Journalism Center, the Dow Prize. This is exactly what that prize is for.
Oh, I was hoping you would say that, because if you didn't, I was gonna. Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, it is total. I thought that, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is the death of corporate media.
I'm ready to give Nick Shirley a special Dow Prize right now, Governor Walker.
Right. I mean, this is classic. I mean, had corporate media been the only voices out there, Tim Walz would still be running for re-election. Nobody would be talking about one of the biggest fraud cases in the history of American politics. And yet the guy who could have been, a year ago, could have been be taking the oath about this time to be the vice president of the United States, is now not even going to run for re-election because the fraud is so horrific. And it took alternative media, people who are truly into investigative reporting, which is exactly what the National Journalism Center is all about. It's not just about this prize, but about teaching young, aspiring journalists. And it is okay if you're conservative to be a journalist, if you want to be a fact-based, truth-seeking journalist. So NJC is exactly about that. So forget my little promotion there.
I'm glad you did.
Speaking of promotions, by the way, Bethany, without a doubt, your kids should go to the middle school program. They would love it at the ranch in D.C., in the middle of America. It's just spectacular, yf.org. But per the fraud, I mean, this is outrageous. It was so clearly happening. What's, to me, one of the most interesting things that's been kind of undercovered lately because of all the video is you had hundreds of state workers writing letters saying there is fraud going on here. You guys know this. I know this for sure. State workers are overwhelmingly liberal. State workers are overwhelmingly Democrat. If they were saying this about Tim Walz, imagine how much more fraud there is all across the country. This is an area that's got to be cracked down. This is an area where the Trump administration can take the lead. The governor's got to step up. Again, not just in going after Walz or Tony Evers in Wisconsin, but all across the country. I'm all for helping people who need a hand up. Public assistance should be like a trampoline and less like a hammock. If you're down and out, we'll get you back up. And for those who maybe have a permanent disability, we get that. But for everybody else, get back up on your feet again.
Governor Scott Walker, thanks for joining us on a multitude of issues this morning. And Lord knows we'll be speaking quite a bit. You're one of our favorites here on the program, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's yaf.org, folks. And yes, Bethany,
I'm literally on the website right now.
Uncle Larry can introduce them to the programs there. I speak there a lot, so good. Can I say Uncle Larry? Can we do that? Or is that too weird?
Let's do it. I mean, it is weird because you've never met them, but let's change that.
That's not true. I've met them at the Birchmere, at the John Andrasik concert.
Oh, that's
Fighting,
right.
remember?
Okay, fair.
Met a good handful of them there. I've met them at CPAC, too.
Okay, fine.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
They'll remember me.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
8:48 here on O'Connor and Company. Bethany, one thing that's been sort of fun this second term for Donald Trump is, first of all, we're all kind of used to what he does and how he is, and so that's, I know some critics will say, you've normalized his behavior. No, it's just, he is who he is, and you roll with it, and you can find some humor in a lot of it. We're also learning a lot more about the relationship, a fascinating relationship between he and the First Lady. As she has opened up a little bit, she's doing this documentary that's going to be out later this month through Prime Video. That the trailer looks phenomenal, and she's getting profiled a little bit. So we're learning a little bit more about their relationship, and President Trump revealed a little bit about that relationship yesterday in his speech to the Republican caucus. Would you like to hear this?
I would love to.
I think you will enjoy it. Take a listen.
And she gets up, and they put a little tiny thing like this, little tiny. And my wife, by the way, my wife hates when I do this. She said, she's a very classy person, right? She said, it's so unpresidential. I said, but I did become president. She hates when I dance. I said, everybody wants me to dance. Darling, it's not presidential. She actually said, could you imagine FDR dancing? She said that to me. And I said, there's a long history that perhaps she doesn't know. Because he was an elegant fellow, even as a Democrat, right? He was the attack by Japan, he was quite elegant. But he wouldn't be doing this. But nor would too many others. But she says, darling, please, the weightlifting is terrible.
All right. So first of all, I love that she scolds him and tells him that he's not acting presidential. And perhaps she doesn't know that FDR would not be dancing because, he had polio.
Right.
That said, the weightlifting, what he's talking about is that he does this thing about transgender athletes and specifically transgender weightlifters. So he, of course, despite his wife's protestations and him citing his wife's protestations, he went right on and told the story about the transgender weightlifters. Let's get to it.
But the weightlifting, but no, the girl gets up. And you see, I want to be more, but I have somebody watching. I want to be more effusive. I want to really,
See, he has a line.
But she gets it, and drops the thing, walks off the stage crying. Her mother's crying, her father's crying. Guy gets up. He said, have you lifted before? A little bit. And he walks up, bing. He could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds, right? It's crazy.
All right. So there's Trump doing his transgender weightlifting shtick that Melania hates. And I don't know, do you and Seth have this kind of relationship?
What kind of relationship?
Well, in terms of one of you constantly trying to scold the others.
Oh,
like,
no.
Please don't do that. That's
No. We're all perfect, and there's no strife whatsoever in our marriage. One thing that if I'm gonna place complaints about Trump, one thing that has always really frustrated me is that he's actually hysterical and has this like really fun relationship with his family that you only get these like tiny little snippet windows into, and honestly I demand more.
I think you're right.
This is fantastic.
That
I want
is
more
fair.
of this Trump.
By the way, real fast on the argument that they have where Trump says, yeah, they want me to dance, and Melania doesn't want him to dance. Here, listen, cut 17.
And I have to say this, the dancing they really like. She said they don't like it, they're just being nice to you. I said, that's not right. They're crazy. They're screaming, dance, please.
They're just being nice to you. Okay, so this sounds familiar. I got to talk to Meredith. It's 8:53.